In the early 20th century, the Electric Vehicle Co. had a fleet of 2,000 electric cars, electric trucks, electric buses, and its Connecticut plant was the largest electric car manufacturer in the entire world. Electric cars, my friends, have been around for much, much longer than people think. It's not even a myth, it's just a cover-up of the lost technology, which they did not want us to accept, or better said, to use. And now we have the new technology of electric hybrid cars, which is being sold to us as a revolutionary thing to save the planet, which is actually all basically a big manipulative thing. There's nothing such a thing as new technology. This was there before. The problem is that they wanted to make a ton of profit with fossil fuels, and now they're going back to electrical cars. This is how the market works. It's all about interest, guys. Don't ever be fooled about this. Now, in Tibet, we have very strange towers. At the end of the 20th century, in the foothills of the Himalayan, discovered many large towers, the details of the appearance of which are unknown to this same day. They cannot really be explored properly because the terrain is very inaccessible. The towers are usually formed of 8 and 12 pointed stars, about 60 meters in height on average, and piles of stones from which everything was built. The towers were built without any mortar, but they are still in very extremely good condition. It is considered that the towers are even seismic resistant, otherwise these would be nothing left of them by today, because in Tibet there's a lot of earthquakes. The history tends to say that the towers were built to withstand natural disasters. The strangest thing is that the locals knew about the towers and used them for their needs, but when they appeared, no one knows when approximately. It's quite a mystery. These towers, nobody really knows exactly how they show up, who made them, and what was the original purpose. Literally another strange, crazy mystery, which maybe even in a couple of years, 20, 30, 40 years, we will still not find out. Now this one is a very interesting one. In the Gem Museum in Tunisia, fragments of the mosaic floor of Casa de Africa on the 3rd century AD shows a huge, absolute massive giant grabbing a mature elephant. We see a giant much taller than an adult elephant, and we notice this because it's not a baby elephant. The elephant has very large tusks. Above us we have a picture comparison of a modern human and the elephant right now from Africa, for example. You can tell the difference, right? The giant was higher in height than the elephant, guys. Another proof that back in the day, over 2,000 years ago, giants roamed the earth. And this mosaic does not make any sense back in the day to draw the human as bigger than the elephant. It just does not make any freaking sense. The only sense it will make is that, of course, if the person depicted here was genuinely a giant. Let me tell you about the Renaissance, and again, some of the biggest cover-ups. In the Italian chapel of the Chapel of San Severo, in the historic center of Naples, everywhere you look there are sculptures of crazy, amazing beauty and detail, which is just insane. The realism of these are just shocking. Nowadays, such fine work is only possible thanks to 3D printers, alright, and a CNC machine. How the heck did they do this in the 18th century with chisels? Okay, it's just in stone, and it's just impossible. And iron and, I don't know, maybe like rough diamonds or something, and maybe they would use diamonds at some point in the 18th century, no idea. There are a lot of sculptures like this around the world, and they are not unique to that era. Okay, how is this possible? How do you do this with a chisel and a hammer? With a hand, okay? Now, let me tell you, this is physically impossible with that technology. You may want to convince yourself it's possible. You may want to say to yourself, no, that's definitely possible because I read it in the history books. So that means that it must be true because they would never lie to me. Why would they lie to me? Why would they tell me something which is not true? Well, let me ask you only one question, and it's the following. How many times have you seen a scientist and an expert avoiding a question because they don't know the answer? Quite a lot of times. Many times they just completely ignore the topic because they have no answer. In history books, many times what we read is basically just an assumption of what they believe it has happened. The problem is that when we are taught that particular topic in school, we are taught to believe in it as it's almost like religion, that is the only option and that's it. End of story. That's what teachers do to you. So remember, next time you read something like this, ask yourself the following question. Was this actually possible in the 18th century using hammers and chisels and maybe, like I said before, rough diamonds if they would use them back in the 18th century? Guys, let's be honest and realistic here. This is the work of much more advanced technology from a civilization, of course, which was potentially erased, or technology which was erased in the 18th century. This is of course just my opinion. Your opinion could be very different, and of course, as always, all opinions are respected. But guys, that's it for today's video. As always, I shall see you later in the next upload. Bye.